What's good, y'all? Welcome to my review for Marvel Zombies. Yes, I finally got to watch it, man. This dropped earlier on the week, but I didn't get the chance to watch it then, or I forgot. Or mostly I just forgot. I was like, oh shit, it's out already. Okay, I'll go watch it. That's it. So we're doing it now, man. This is actually recording this a lot later than I want to. It's almost 10 p.m. at the time I'm recording this. I don't know if I'm going to post this video tonight or save it for tomorrow. But by the time I finished it, No Mercy had already started, so I was like, shit. So I rushed over to turn on Peacock and start watching it there, man. And now the show's wrapped, I can finally, cover No Mercy. Or covers the Marvel Zombies, excuse me. But anyway, man, overall, man, I thought the show's pretty good, man. This was an overall great show, man, that I thoroughly enjoyed. I feel like with What If, since it's obviously it take place, this was, originally came from What If, used the same animation style as What If, which I imagine same studio and everything as What If. I feel like this show suffers from the same problems as What If. Not to the same extent, because What If was kind of like lost potential just because they would give us episodes on stupid shit no one wanted, rather than like actual cool what ifs that we should have gotten that have been in the comics or what have you. But in the sense of like tone and other things, man, I feel like this kind of suffers from a lot of the same issues that I think probably people had with What If with Marvel Zombies. I'm not sure what the general consensus on this one was, which actually, what is this on? 67% on Rotten Tomatoes, yeah, that sounds about right, and 7.3 on IMDb. I'm literally looking at this right now. But, so I imagine some people are probably also like this with me, man, although I'm definitely a bit more on the more positive side of the spectrum, man, because like I said, I did really like this show. Though, if you guys check my letterbox to give you the spoilers right now, this is like at the bottom of my MCU ranking, like right above What If, but not by much, I'm not gonna lie, man. Not by much, this is better than What If, but yeah. But overall, man, I thoroughly enjoyed it, man. There was a lot to like about the show, man. And yeah, but anyway, let's just jump right into the show stars. Dominique Thorne, Iman Valenani, I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right, Florence Pugh, Todd Williamson, Haley Steinfeld, Elizabeth Olsen, Mahershala Ali, yes, Mahershala is on this, yes, for finally getting to play Blade, after God knows how many years since the Blade got announced. This is like, I think like the first real time he's actually really gotten the chance to actually play Blade, which is crazy to think that his first appearance is in fucking What If, or not What If, in Marvel Zombies, and not this actual fucking movie, but here we are, and many more. And the plot of Marvel Zombies is a new generation of Marvel heroes battle against an ever-spreading Marvel scourge. Now, first of all, man, I thought the cast was pretty good, man. When you got a lot, pretty much. I think this one had almost every single of the main actors come back to play their MCU counterparts, minus obviously like the big ones. Like Tom wasn't here, man, which he's already had his voice actor counterpart in there, man. Wyatt is in here as well. I saw him in the credits a couple times. I swear to God, I did not see U.S. Agent once during the show, so I don't know if it's in the background. He had a different design compared to last time, man. But yeah, but pretty much this is like I think this is like the one time where basically almost everyone came back, minus the ones that we already knew were going to come back to from What If, like, Tom Holland as Spider-Man, and I think he was the only one that had a voice match. Well, also T'Challa's in the show as well, surprisingly, but he straight up doesn't speak, for obvious reasons, because Chadwick's passing. Like they did this whole thing with the movie. I feel like they wouldn't like have someone fill it into a voice match of him, for the show. But I just found that funny. They literally does not speak once outside of maybe doing a couple efforts, and basically Spidey is speaking for him with narration from him, man, which I thought was a little bit funny. But yeah, man, the cast overall pretty solid, man. Some are definitely better than others. Like, some of these you could tell these are Hollywood actors, not voice actors. But like there was definitely some times where I felt like some performances were a bit like stiff, a bit bland, where it just felt where you could really tell these are Hollywood actors, not voice actors. But overall, I thought everyone was pretty good. So it was overall pretty good, man. I definitely would say that Iman was probably the highlight for everyone, man. Kamala gets a lot of screen time, but she is arguably the main character of Marvel Zombies, so she gets a lot of focus in the show, man. And I thought she was probably good. Along with Florence, but Florence is amazing and everything, man. I love Florence. We all love Florence. We stand Florence. But yeah, anyway, now let's get to one thing I really liked about the show, man, is like I liked a lot of the original designs they gave a lot of the characters, like especially Riri. I really liked her her hoodie look she had going on there, man, with like the single arm cannon she had, man. I really dig that look they had with Riri, where she had like an arc reactor on her chest that was like shaped like a heart. I really liked her look, man. I thought her fit was pretty cool, man. They had a few other ones that I thought were pretty cool in terms of news. And Shang-Chi looks pretty good. Remember, his whole thing is like when the zombie apocalypse had first started. You know, he was like he and Kate were there running, or Katie were running around, were running away from the zombie horde, and one of them got to him, man. And then his father sacrifices himself by giving him the 10 rings, and one of the 10 rings is locked in right before the infection spreads past his arm, and the rest. So that whole arm of his is like zombified. The rest of his body is fine, and he kind of has the rest of the 10 rings there around on his arm, which is pretty cool, man. He also shares them with Katie, surprisingly. So yeah, she's like actually like a bit of a martial artist here, man. There's a few other characters I thought had pretty cool, unique design for the show, man. Like Thor had a really cool design. There was a couple others, but I don't want to get into spoilers. But yeah, there was a few other designs here that I thought was pretty cool. But I liked a lot of the original designs they gave a lot of these characters in What If, and not What If. I keep saying What If, but Marvel Zombies, man. So that was pretty cool, man. The gore, obviously, it's like the one thing that they were obviously marketing heavily because, you know, it's Marvel Zombies and everything. The gore is here, man, and it is fantastic, man. It's bloody, it's graphic, it's good. I liked it. The gore, they definitely came in here and gave us the gore like they advertised, man. They did not skip out on the gore, man. They definitely gave the people what they wanted in terms of the gore. Another thing I was gonna say, man, is also the animation of the show is really good in certain spots, man. Now, obviously, we had the big one that was in the trailers with, you know, Blade, Moon Knight, where he's slicing up the zombie ghost into it, like going full Metal Gear Rising, Zandatsu on her ass, man. But there was also another really cool moment where the effects animation in particular really stands out. More specifically in the first episode and the fourth episode, I think is when the effects animation it stands the most. And arguably, there might be some of the animation highlights of the series, especially in episode 4. There's this like really big explosion that happens near the end of episode 4, man. That was just stunning to look at. But episode 1 had this really cool thing where when they get when they get to like this where Kate, Riri, and Kamala are traveling to go over to Ohio, because the main plot of the series really resolves around Kamala finding this device that's meant to so that they can contact the Nova Corps and bring them in there to hopefully save the day and save them from the zombie horde. And that's really the main crux of the plot of the show, man, is Kamala trying to get to Ohio to get this to the Nova Corps so they can send them in, call them, and, you know, have them come back. You know, have them come and save them. That's really the main plot. Was when they go through this area after there's like a big crater in this mountain range area, they just go through there as a shortcut. They get to this area that's like basically where Carol is fighting off against one of the Eternals. Both of them are zombified. I think it was Icarus, but I'm not entirely sure, man. But they were both going at him and fighting, and the effects animations, they're all trying to run away from them, from the explosions of Carol's, you know, photon blast and whatnot, man. Looked spectacular, man. They were truly gorgeous, amazing colors used in this, man. It was true. It was truly eye candy, man. I guess I don't know the really right word, but like it looked truly stunning. And the effects animation in Marvel Zombies, man, was fantastic in the first episode as well as the fourth episode. The fourth episode as well had some also did some where they really used some great use of colors to get some really popping to get some shots that really popped in terms of colors and the explosions and whatnot, man. The effects animation here, man, was superb, man. That was definitely, like I said, that's probably one of the biggest highlights of the show, man. And to not get too deep into spoilers, because I don't plan on doing spoilers, because there's really nothing really to talk about. But I do like when we do see the Nova Corps, what they do with them, and I thought that was pretty cool. I don't want to get too deep in spoil, but I thought that was a pretty cool thing they did with the Nova Corps. So you got that, man. There's also some other cool stuff. Like I said, the fourth episode is easily the show's highlight, man, where that's where we get like the shot of Spidey ripping off the multiple zombies' heads, man. But there's also really other great shots, like Blade is pure aura farm to that part. We get this really nice shot where he's like swinging a sword, and you see a sword, you know, going past him, and where it looks like it's like one half Blade, and then like in the reflection of the sword is Khonshu. That was really cool, man. There was a bunch of other moments like that, really cool kills and whatnot that we saw in episode 4. We get this really awesome fight in episode 4, man. Like I said, I don't want to get too deep in spoilers. I don't want to spoil anything, man. But I thought this was really fucking cool, man. I thought that was really fucking cool the way they did. And I overall kind of really dug the dynamic that we see in the first episode between Kamala, Riri, and Kate. I really did that. I thought they had good chemistry with each other. I imagine, just like usually, they probably all recorded separately because, you know, Josh Keaton has mentioned ad nauseam at panels nowadays. If you guys watch them, and if you guys watch like panels like I do, man, put them in the background editing videos and whatnot, that he's mentioned this countless times more recently at panels like at GalaxyCon panels and whatnot, that even like you guys may know that for a longer time anime has always kind of done recording separately. They've recorded everyone one at a time. They don't do group records. While with Western animation, it was very typical to do group records. But ever since COVID, they had to go to single. They pretty much have not gone back to group recording. And Josh has mentioned that ad nauseum and countless times in panels that he misses doing group records with everyone, man, and that every show he's doing, whether it be a Western animation or an anime, he's always recording by himself. He doesn't get to bounce off the other actors and create a rapport and whatnot and do group recordings. So I imagine the same thing, unless this was different than they actually did group records for this one, man. I imagine the same thing happened with Marvel Zombies. But anyway, I thought the three of them had great chemistry together, and I would honestly really like to see them more, to see them interact in the MCU properly, whether we get a Young Avengers movie with Kamala, Kate, and Riri. We see one of them or some or both of them pop up in Hawkeye season 2 or in Daredevil Born Again, because who knows? With Kamala's dad being season 1, there might be a whole thing where we might see Kamala in season 2 of Born Again as part of Daredevil's team. We don't know. That could happen, or we might see Daredevil pop up in Miss Marvel season 2. Given the fact that, Daredevil was in, and his dad were in Daredevil Born Again season 1. So who knows? We might see a crossover between Kamala and Daredevil at some point, whether it's in Born Again or in Miss Marvel if she ever gets a second season, or a movie, or what have you. But anyway, I would really like to see the three of them interact more. I thought they had great chemistry together, and I honestly would have liked to see them interact more in future MCU projects. To jump right into my main criticism, one of them is already that I wish they kind of got that they stuck around a little bit longer, because it's not very long before both of them get killed off, man, which, a bit of a minor spoiler, but, this show, man, characters are getting killed off all the time. I don't know if it was like this in the comic as well, for Marvel Zombies, which you guys know was written by Robert Kirkman, who is now created Walking Dead, Invincible, etc., etc., so his work speaks for itself. But, so I don't know if it was like that, where characters were dying left and right, and being turned into zombies, or if that one, it was a more centralized cast one, not everyone dying off, but I imagine, just like the comic, a lot of characters get killed off, man, and get turned into zombies. So that whole thing happens, man. But anyway, one thing I think the biggest grab I have with the show, man, is overall the writing. Now, I don't know if this is just because Zeb Wells was writing it. When you guys know his Spider-Man run was infamous, though I did love Hellions when he was writing that book. So I don't know if it was because they went with Zeb Wells writing it instead of just bringing back Robert Kirkman to write this in there, which I don't even know if he had any involvement with this version of Marvel Zombies. I don't know if he was like a producer or anything. I did look to see his name was in credits. I didn't see him anywhere, but I also wasn't paying super attention, so I might have missed him, man. So correct me if I'm wrong, if he was actually involved in this as a producer or a consultant, or had some, involvement in the production of Marvel Zombies. Though with him working on Invincible stuff, man, I wouldn't be surprised he just didn't have the time while he's obviously focusing on Invincible, because that's, his series and whatnot, man. He owns the rights and everything. Well, Marvel Zombies, he doesn't, and he just wrote the original comic. And I don't know if the original Marvel Zombies comic was like this, man, because you guys know I haven't read it. So a lot of my critique, so this is coming from someone that has not read the original comic, that can't really compare it to the original comic, and can't say if this is the same or different or how, but one, and this is what I meant earlier on the video when I mentioned how, that this felt like it suffered from the same problems as What If, where it feels this is very much an MCU-ified Marvel Zombies, where it feels more like it's trying to fit into the MCU, which guys makes, because it was a lot of the same characters, it came from What If, etc. But it has the same tone of the MCU, man. Some of the lesser projects, and when it just feels like it's trying to be an MCU-ification of Marvel Zombies rather than just adapting Marvel Zombies for how the original comic was. Like I said, I have not read the original comic, so I don't know how Robert Kirkman's version of it differed from this show, man. But it just felt like with the humor, I didn't really laugh that much in there. Just the overall vibe of the show, I felt like did not match the tone that it should have. Where I felt like the show should have a bit of a darker feel, which it does. It does have its dark moments. It does have its serious moments. It does have its sad moments. But I feel like the show should have been way more darker in terms of it being a zombie apocalypse and everything, man. Well, it still feels like an MCU-ification and it still has a lot of the, lesser desirable elements you see a lot in more recent MCU projects and whatnot that people often complain about, man. And I feel like Marvel Zombies suffers from that same, because I was not very much emotionally invested into the show, man. I wasn't super high on most of the episodes, man. Outside, like I said, the episode 4 kind of saved it. And I just wasn't really as invested as I felt like I should have been, and I feel like the tone of this show was way off. They do serious moments where characters sacrifice themselves and whatnot, man, but it also it feels like it's told, it doesn't keep that tone where it feels like it's once again trying to be a very much like MCU-ified and everything, man. And I don't know if I'm doing a proper job in this way, but I just felt like the writing was off. And it feels very disconjointed with the way it's structured across this 4 episodes, where like we're constantly jumping through time and following different characters at the start of each episode. The first episode we follow Kamala, Riri, and Kate. Then the next one then the next one it goes over with Yelena, or not Yelena, it goes with I forget who started, but like it was like Yelena was in like the episode 2, and we followed her with Kamala popping up here and there. Episode 3 is when Peter first gets introduced with Doc with Scott, and then episode 4 is like the big climax episode where everyone comes together, man. And it just felt kind of disconjointed and disconnected with each other when you constantly just jumping all around the place, different characters rather than follow. Like it still follows the central, plot narrative of Kamala trying to get to trying to contact the Nova Corps, but it felt very disconjointed with how it constantly was jumping all over the place across 4 episodes. And it didn't feel like one seamless, transition between episodes and between plot points where we're constantly just jumping all over the place. Now, like I said, I keep reading because I have not read the comments, so I don't know if this was like, if the comic was like this as well, jumping all over the point, or was more of a centralized plot point of separate group of characters not balancing. Oh yeah, episode 2 was Shang-Chi. I believe that was a Shang-Chi episode. And then, we got the K and everything. Which I will say, man, one of the, I forgot to mention this earlier, but another thing I really liked the show was the opening of the second episode, where it followed Shang-Chi when the zombie pod just first happened, man, and the camera stays locked in on Shang-Chi's perspective, so when you see stuff up in the sky, it's filmed kind of like a found footage movie, where it's like you're following them and they're looking up and you see like people, like zombies that are like giant, probably due to Pym particles, you see the crowd and everything. It felt like it was a very much like shot like a found footage movie, and I think that was honestly really well done, man. That whole sequence, man, was also one of my favorite parts of the show, man. And I thought that was like one of the parts where the show signed was in that opening of the second episode, because I thought that was really well handled, that was really well directed and shot. That opening with Shang-Chi running away from the zombie horde, man. That was really well done. But yeah, like I said, I feel like the show felt disconnected, and it just doesn't really do anything crazy. Like I felt like I didn't go on this with super hype. I was like, oh cool, Marvel Zombies, this has been in production for a while. Can't wait to watch it. It looked cool. But I felt like this just felt like missed opportunities, man. Like this could have been so much cooler than it actually ended up being. And I feel like that was probably what the comic had initially done, and that's probably why it was so beloved and why people were really clamoring for a Marvel Zombies when it first popped up and whatever, and when the show finally got announced. And I just felt like it didn't really match that energy or reach its potential that it probably should have, that probably the original comic had done back in the mid 2000s, whenever that comic had dropped, that Robert Kirkman did. But yeah, man, like I said, it was still a solid show, but it definitely feels like even with a TV animated with all the gore, like there's no cursing, you don't see characters dropping F-bombs or anything, man. It's the TV animated is literally just from gore. There's no cursing or nothing, or no one dropping F-bombs, which I think probably might have helped as well if they got a little bit more serious and they started having characters drop F-bombs. That would have been nice, But yeah, this felt like a very much of more of a sanitized, I guess, version of Marvel Zombies. Possibly could have been an MCU-fication of Marvel Zombies, and probably how the original comic had portrayed things. Like I said, I haven't read it, so I don't know if this is like how the original comic was like this as well. And I imagine the plot's obviously probably different. The only thing that I would imagine had similarities is maybe Scarlet Witch was the main villain in that one as well. Though I will say what they did in episode, I believe it was 3. With Scarlet Witch, when we get to New Asgard, that was pretty cool as well, man. Also, one other thing I almost forgot to mention is that the show doesn't seem to follow to have a logic with how becoming a zombie works, because in the first episode, first couple of, you would obviously think that, if you get bit by a zombie, you get turned into one. And there are points of it where we do see that's being the case, where a character gets bit and they get zombified. But there's other times where characters get bit and nothing happens other than them screaming. You know what I mean? There's other times where there's something from episode 3 where characters with characters, not to get spoilers, that happen. The Red Guardian's the same thing, but he doesn't turn while everyone else turns. It seems like the show would not follow its own logic on how it's consistently give us a set of rules on how becoming a zombie in Marvel Zombies, worked. So that was another thing I wanted to mention. But yeah, man, that's all I got for you guys today, man. Overall, it was a solid show, man. And yeah, anyway, guys, over here, this show an 8 out of 10, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new. Follow me so you feel like it. Links are trust below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time.